Hi guys, it's Ghoul and welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. As it is now November, I wanted to do an autumn makeover kind of build, and we upgraded one of the rooms from the Get to Work pack, and I think we made it into something pretty special, so I hope you enjoy. So as you can see, we did kind of go with a pre-made room, and we just, well, I don't know, I just kind of feel like it could have done with an upgrade while kind of keeping the style of the original room. I love the idea of having something already made and then just adding your kind of style on top of that. I do it with a lot of like other things to do with Fallout and other games that I play, so it just kind of made sense to do it here. I did extend the room, add an extra few like fridges and things like that, just because I wanted to kind of tell that story of it being very busy, and I really kind of wanted to look almost like out of a story, like to the point where you can kind of believe it, you know, you could serve like fairies and elves. You know what I'm like with stories by now, and if you haven't, welcome to the channel. I do like to create little scenarios for my Sims, and yeah, this is definitely one of them. I kept with the kind of the room theme, I guess. A super cozy build, and like I say, it's probably my coziest one to date. I did go in and use the Back to Work pack a lot, or Get to Work pack, I'm sorry, a lot, because it is one I haven't really explored before, and this is probably my first build using it pretty exclusively. There are things in it that obviously that don't come with it that I've changed here and there, but for the majority this is a Get to Work pack, and I kind of love it. I really wish I had created a sim to live in there, but this is just a build for now. As you can see, I do go in with some of the lighting from the pack, and I don't know, I just kind of like how it shows off the room without it being so like bright white, and of course I pretty much doubled down on everything because I just wanted it to be well, wanted to look like it was super busy. And I did create an outside area which you are about to see, because I just thought it would be really nice to have that kind of, if the weather was good, you could sit out. I really do romanticize my builds, so yeah, so that is something I do. The only downside to this build is probably the fact that I did take so long deciding on where this poster has to go. I did edit out a very small amount of it, but yeah, I took too long deciding on that, especially when I put the windows in. So yeah, I do love this build, and that is probably the only thing I would change. And yeah, I definitely think that it is well worth doing. So if you do play The Sims, I definitely challenge you to kind of give me a prefabricated room makeover. I'd love to see it. So let's talk about the outside for a second. I do use a very simple deck piece because I just wanted it to kind of be simple and just not crazy like some of my other builds, and I love how it turned out. We kind of managed to keep the colours the same and just really not go too mad with resizing and editing. Pretty much what you see is what you get with this build this time. There wasn't a lot of things I didn't like about it, and which is rare, because if you know me by now, you know I am a massive procrastinator. But yeah, we managed to just get in some very basic terrain. I did go in and change some things slightly more to the end of the build, but I do love how this one turned out. As you can see in a minute that I was originally playing console before this, because I always forget to to resize and rotate my stairs. Every time I do that, because it's on this console, it's slightly different. This is definitely a PC build, and I do hopefully want to include more of both console and PC on the channel, so definitely look out for that. Now, each one of my builds has a little secret lavender plant or cookie jar, and heads up, it's the lavender plant this time. I do end up moving them later on, but for now I kind of like the fact that they were at the front door. It is a practical magic reference if you do not understand. And then going back in to talk about the roof for a quick second, I went in with a slanted one because I wasn't quite sure where I wanted it to go, and I didn't really want it to look like just a basic standard house, so we kind of went with a little slope, and I think it looks kind of cute. I'm kind of liking it. So windows now. Windows were a bit tricky with this one because it was an awkward shape to kind of include everything in because of the things that were inside of the build. As you're about to see, the bane of my life was the cinnamon roll poster, but we did manage to get it to work in the end. And after what felt like it was rearranged about 50,000 times, we did manage to get it in the end. This was the bane of the build, I'm not gonna lie, but I definitely will include it in future builds. It is cute, and I mean, who doesn't love a cinnamon roll? So as much as it was a hassle, I do like what it adds to the build. Going on in just real quick with some other lighting little bits, some more decor, because you know me, I can't resist adding more to a build, and the windows. So we had to rearrange some pieces to match the windows, but overall I do like how it turned out. I kind of like the fact that we had like more things like chalkboards for customers and little things like that that do tell a story. If you know me by now, I probably say this in every build, but if you know me by now, you know I like to create little scenarios for my Sims, and this one was like a little autumn woodland kind of little like coffee shop kind of vibe, like one way you can escape from for the day. So yeah, so terrain, I wanted to do something a little different this time, and I really wanted to use the mix of the terrain and the stone flooring. So probably like going back to it, I probably would have just started with the flower floor. I just left the mud out, but I did like the fact that it just added a different colour to the floor. So yeah, I think that is something I probably would change for next time. Let me know what you guys think. I would absolutely love to know your feedback, and this I will say now, this gameplay is in real time. I didn't edit this in double time at all. I was very much on a roll. I got really into building this one, and you kind of know that that's when it's a good build. I do go in later on and kind of adjust the stone patio bits, but for now I kind of like the fact it looked a bit different to my usual builds, and yeah, but definitely going in I probably would change the mud a bit. So the stones, so this is something I have picked up from Pinterest, and I like to include it in a lot of my builds now because it just adds a little something. I kind of like the fact that it just kind of broke up the floor a little bit, and when I add flowers in at the end you can kind of see it all come together, and I think it's really, really cool. So let's talk flowers real quick before I put them in. I went with daisies, and I think oopsie daisies and mixed flowers this time round, because I really like the dimension of both the stone. The kind of creates like a really cool barrier in between the stone and the grass, and I just think it adds a little bit of colour and a little bit of something just really cool to the build. I really enjoy learning a bit more about the terrain by looking at things like Pinterest and just creating and seeing what actually works. And like I said, I wanted to kind of make this like a storybook coffee shop area, something where you can kind of escape and just kind of like live your best life, I guess. But yeah, so I included lots of different colours, and as you can see, that was where I started moving the terrain because I just felt it was a bit too heavy for where I wanted it to go. And yeah, adding in all these different colours really worked actually. I think it kind of made it look really cute, and definitely always like almost like outer worldly kind of vibes. I do go in and chuck in a bunch of lights at this point, and here is the big pause because I hadn't seen this light before, and I was kind of like in awe of it. It was very beautiful, and I do end up putting it in later on in the game save, but I wanted to add in all these little spotlights. It's kind of look like little twinkly stars. Like I say, I really overthink these builds, so yeah, so I just kind of wanted to change it through the night time to kind of see what it would look like, and yeah, I do love it. I think it looks really, really cool. So let's talk about terrain real quick. As you can see, I do go in and rectify my problem with the stones, and I did try and add in another colour, but it didn't really work so well, so I left it as it was. And I do think I shouldn't have put maybe so much heavy mud in at the beginning, but I like how it worked in the end. I do move some heavy terrain in a minute because I just wanted to create kind of a closed area, but having the front of the build still pretty open, so it didn't look like we had just chucked it all in one small area and put like a little wall around it. And I do just kind of think that given time I probably would have put more flowers in, but I do like to keep my builds under 20 minutes, and this was 15 minutes in real time, so I kind of just, maybe if I gave myself more time I would add more flowers in for sure. Maybe a little fountain or something. We all know I go over the top with my builds, so yeah, but I wanted to keep this one kind of short and sweet, and I love how the fencing and the hedging did actually come out really well. It added what I wanted it to add without it being over the top. And going on back into the Get to Work pack, I use all the decorative items, and like I said earlier, this is where I do hide one of my lavender plants at the very back of the build, and then I go on in and use all like the fluorescent signing and some things like floral baskets for the window boxes, and really just try to make it look like a shop from the outside as well as the inside. I did want to include kind of the storybook element, so I did get in and put a little stone wall on the outside of the build, and I really wanted to encompass the green, like the dark green of the fence with the house, so I did put in a dark green kind of like fence trim, roof trim, and yeah, so again I do use the Get to Work pack pretty much because it's what I started with and I really haven't explored it as much as I should do. So yeah, I do include a bunch of different signs, and I do think it's probably a little cluttered for my taste, but again I think it's pretty cool and I love how it turned out. This is something I would definitely love to build with again, and so let me know in the comments below if you want me to do a doctor's surgery next or a clothes shop. I really would love to know. I'm hoping to do a build once per week, so it will be up every week, and yeah, and I do love going through this makeover series. In fact, I think I have 2 planned already with different packs, but for the Get to Work one, I would love you to vote for either like a doctor's surgery or a clothes shop. I'd absolutely love to explore those options, and yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool considering what we started out with and what we turned it into. I think it's, yeah, I'm actually quite proud of this build. So yeah, so I do go in and make some tables and chairs now, because you can't just grab a coffee and go, of course you have to sit there with a book. So I do go in with some dining room tables in a minute of different like autumn colours and matching chairs, because I just wanted to have a really cozy vibe. I think if I probably would have made it bigger, I would have added a sofa in and maybe like a small bookcase, and yeah, just kind of really created a cozy area. So far I think it looks really cool for a very quick build. I added in some reds in there and some really nice browns, and I love how we managed to merge it in with the rest of the build without it looking so samey, like it has its own personality. And of course I do go in with the outside ones and add in some picnic kind of tables as well. This one was a bit of a faff because I had to organise where I wanted it, and of course I had to have a little black and white pinstripe moment in there too, with matching chairs, of course. So now we are just adding the final touches. I do love how this build came out. I know I say it every time, but this one was really cool to explore and to kind of like, not test my skills in any way, but kind of like it made me realise that I probably am a little bit too hard on myself with these builds, but yeah, I definitely love how they turned out, and yeah, I think it's really cool. So let me thank you for being so supportive, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. So thanks guys, bye.